Rafto-prisen 2018 tildeles Adam Bodner og ombudsmannen for menneskerettigheter for å forsvare minoriteters rettigheter og domstolenes uavhengige rolle i den pågående politiske utviklingen i Polen. The Rafto Prize 2018 is awarded to the Polish lawyer Adam Bodner and the institution that he leads, the Office of the Commissioner for Human Rights, for the important stance taken in the face of current political developments in Poland. A key function of the Ombudsman, or the Commissioner for Human Rights, is to ensure that public authorities secure and respect the human rights of all members of society. As Ombudsman, Adam Bodner has highlighted the crucial role played by independent ombudsman institutions in safeguarding human rights in Poland and other countries where such actors and institutions increasingly have come under attack. To guarantee fundamental human rights for all, it is necessary to uphold the independence of the judiciary, a free press, and an active civil society. The protection of the interests of minorities is a key democratic value. Democracy is fragile when it is reduced to the will of the majority, and when human rights, minority rights, and the rule of law are undermined. Since Law and Justice won the Polish election in October 2015, the party has used its majority in the national parliament to adopt legislation that reduces the independence of courts and centralizes state powers. New laws grant the government control of state media and limit freedom of information and political participation. The rights of vulnerable groups have been repeatedly ignored. In this situation, the Ombudsman plays a key role as defender of judicial independence and minority rights. As an independent Ombudsman, Adam Bodner has become a significant advocate for democracy, a defender of minorities, and fundamental human rights. On the 9th of September 2015, Adam Bodner took the oath in the Polish parliament as the country's 7th Commissioner for Human Rights. The Ombudsman and his staff provide expert opinions on new laws, produce independent reports, and call attention to proposed laws that may be unconstitutional. His office also investigates issues involving equality before the law and discrimination against vulnerable groups. Since his appointment, Adam Bodner has focused in particular on minority groups and the situation of migrants, asylum seekers, ethnic and national minorities, persons with disabilities, and sexual minorities in Poland. In this work, Bodner is an important voice speaking against hate speech and violence against such vulnerable groups. As Ombudsman, Bodner works on many different levels and protects human rights on many different fronts. From monthly visits to Polish provinces, meeting people facing challenges in relation to tenancy contracts, pension entitlements, and pollution in their neighborhoods, to national and international campaigns for human rights. Bodner has criticized Polish anti-terror legislation for its violent violation of human rights standards and lack of a view by the Constitutional Court. He provides legal assistance to migrants and insists that the Constitution obliges the government to guarantee the rights of national and ethnic minorities. In 2015, he took legal action against a public printing company that refused to print publicity material for an LGBT organization on the grounds that it infringed their right to access a public good. He has also commented on the Polish educational system, arguing for inclusion of subjects such as human rights and tolerance in the school curriculum. Bodner exposes how government policies contribute to increasing xenophobia and legitimate hate crimes against vulnerable groups. As he says, this is the moment when words turn into deeds. About once a week or every 2 weeks, we receive a report of a racial beating. Poland established the Office of Commissioner for Human Rights in 1988, and it has been a model for the establishment of similar offices in other Central and Eastern European countries since. Since Poland's accession to the EU in 2004, the Ombudsman has been given new responsibilities, such as investigating whether the Polish state is acting in accordance with the European Convention on Human Rights and ensuring compliance with the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. At the same time, and over the past 3 years, the government in Poland has introduced political and legal changes that challenge the work of the Ombudsman. In a political game which pits majority rights against the principles of rule of law, the Constitutional Court has been sidelined, and judicial reforms now grant politicians power to discipline and dismiss judges. Poland's new normal severely challenges the independence of courts, the freedom of media, and institutions intended to protect the rights of minorities and vulnerable groups. At a time when freedom of expression increasingly is restricted and those who stand up to the majority risk paying a high price, Adam Bodnar is an important voice. He has attempted to reverse changes in the laws that infringe the legal protection of vulnerable groups and has taken an active role in defending the independence of the judiciary and criticizing the recent judicial reforms. In Adam Bodnar's own words, "The Polish government is concentrating power in its hands, subordinating public media, the secret services, and the prosecutor's office. The independence of the judiciary has already been badly damaged. Due to changes implemented in the last 2 years, the Constitutional Court has lost its ability to effectively control legislation of political importance." In reaction to the work and the advocacy of the Ombudsman, the very existence of the office is now under threat. And Adam Bodnar personally is accused of spreading misinformation and is subject to harsh criticism, hate speech, and personal threats in state media. Members of the ruling party, Law and Justice, with support in the public media and elsewhere, are undermining the Ombudsman's independence, and there have been proposals that the Ombudsman should lose its constitutional protection. In an attempt to marginalize the office of the Ombudsman, information is withheld, the recommendations from the Ombudsman are increasingly ignored or marginalized. A proposal to sack Adam Bodnar has been made by politicians of the ruling party and, most recently, by a judge of the Constitutional Court appointed by the Law and Justice. These attacks make his work much more difficult, casting doubt on his independence and his integrity. The Ombudsman's budget has also been significantly reduced, and the caseload has increased. Yet, while these changes restrict the Ombudsman's ability to safeguard human rights, Adam Bodnar and his staff continue to bravely and clearly oppose the legal reforms and defend human rights in Poland. In accordance with its international human rights obligation, the Polish state is required to facilitate the Ombudsman's human rights work. The work of the Ombudsman's office must be facilitated via access to information, funding, and independence. The ongoing attack on judicial independence in Poland is unacceptable, as pointed out by the EU Commission, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, the Venice Commission, and the OSCE Office for Democratic Institutions and Human Rights. Poland must also ratify the various international conventions that protect minority groups, such as the International Convention on the Protection of Rights of All Migrant Workers and Members of Their Families, the International Convention for the Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearance, and the additional protocols on economic, social, and cultural rights, the rights of children, and the rights of persons with disabilities. The Ombudsman's important work shows these vulnerable groups to be particularly at risk, as pointed out by the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. The Rafto Prize for 2018 to Adam Bodnar highlights the rolling back of democracy and human rights protection in Poland. The conflict over the Polish Constitutional Court and the Supreme Court are important internationally because they are symbolic of an alarming tendency where the independence of courts increasingly come under political pressure. It is therefore crucial that the international community, the EU, Norway, and other European countries take a clear stand against human rights violations and attacks on the rule of law and minority rights that now take place in our own region. Thank you very much. Now, I have the honor of introducing a key expert that will give you some background to the Polish political and legal reforms. And I have the honor to introduce Viggo Storhaug Larsen, who is a Court of Appeal judge here in Norway. And he is also the president of the Norwegian Association of Judges. He has played an active role in the international entities working to uphold rule of law in Poland. So, Viggo Storhaug Larsen, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. And good morning. Brussels must remain firm with Poland regarding Warsaw's assault on judicial independence and the rule of law. This quote from an article by the prize winner published in Politico on April 9 this year pinpoints the current situation in for the Polish judiciary. Since the Law and Justice Party took power in 2015, the Polish government has been concentrating power in its hands by subordinating, among other institutions, the judiciary and the prosecutor's office. The so-called overhaul of the Polish judiciary started in early 2016, in January, with the recomposition and appointment of new members, including a new president of the Polish Constitutional Tribunal. The next target for the ruling party was the court presidents. Pursuant to legislation adopted in July 2017, the Minister of Justice was granted power to dismiss court presidents of Polish ordinary courts. His power has already been used to remove and replace altogether 150 court presidents and vice presidents. From January 2018, the legislation relating to the election of members of the Polish Council of the Judiciary is amended to the effect that judicial members previously elected by their peers, namely judges, is now in reality appointed by the Parliament. The Council of the Judiciary plays a crucial role for the independence of the courts and is the equivalent to the board of the Norwegian Courts Administration. The most recent part of the reform is the new act on the Supreme Court of Poland. This act came into force on the 3rd of April this year. This law reduces the age of mandatory retirement for Supreme Court justices from 70 years, as it used to be, to 65 years. The effect of this reform is that approximately 40% of the justices are forced into retirement. This includes the first president of the Supreme Court. Two new departments of the Supreme Court are also introduced. A special disciplinary chamber who will resolve disciplinary issues regarding members of the judiciary. And there is also going to be a new chamber to review so-called extraordinary appeals. This latter department will have the power to, inter alia, review all judgments from the last 20 years. And the criteria that has been presented for such extraordinary appeal and review are very unclear. The given reason by the Polish ruling party for the need of a reform of the judiciary is that judges have become a state within the state, and therefore is needed to bring the judiciary under democratic control. This is cited from Jaroslaw Kaczynski, the chairman of the ruling party. The Polish judges have also been accused of being corrupt, lazy, or former communists. These are serious accusations that has never been substantiated with any sort of evidence from the authorities. There can be no doubt that the reform is a political takeover of the judicial institution formed to safeguard the independence and accountability of the judiciary. And it is in this context the work of Adam Bodnar should be viewed. Bodnar has fought the war for independence and rule of law on the fields of Poland. And the Ombudsman is now the only remaining independent voice among the state institutions. In the said article I referred to initially, he is asking for assistance from the international society. And indeed, the international community is not sitting still. EU has, as you know, already initiated an Article 7 proceeding, and this proceeding is still ongoing. On September 24, the European Commission decided to refer Poland to the European Court of Justice due to the violations of the principle of judicial independence. The Commission has also asked for an interim measure until the court has issued a judgment in this case. Furthermore, the Venice Commission has, in a report dating back to December 2017, prior to the implementation of the legislation, strongly expressed their concern regarding many aspects of the reform now being implemented. The European Network of Councils for the Judiciary, a partly EU-financed network of councils for the judiciary, where the Polish Judicial Council was a founding member, has on an extraordinary General Assembly on September 17 suspended the membership of the Polish Council with its present composition. The European Association of Judges has expressed their concern about the situation, and the Association of Judges in the Nordic countries, together with associations of Estonia and Latvia, has also addressed their concern about the situation and appealed to the national governments to take action with the strongest possible means. The award of the Rafto Prize to Adam Bodnar is an important signal to the Polish authorities to change their course and re-establish the rule of law. Moreover, and foremost, it is a tribute to the courage and strength of Adam Bodnar in his work as the National Ombudsman of Poland. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we are here, the expert and me. If you have any questions, we are ready to respond. He will take all the difficult ones. Nope.
Okay.
It's all clear? Good? Tusen takk. Tusen takk. Skal vi ta disse? Da kan vi ta disse. Ja, da kan vi ta dem. Ja, super.